Alrighty then. So it is 13 days after I did the last video, and this is my setup. They installed the stuff for me. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfect, but when is anything ever perfect? Um, but there's a lot more going well than not going well here. So I'll just focus on the positive. Um, So the positive is it seems to work. I'm in Bartow. I'm back at my home airport, and I flew it back. I have the autopilot installed now. It is right there, and it works very well. I think there's some settings. It seems to be a little overly sensitive. Like it was doing a pretty fair job flying me back. It was tracking the GPS perfectly. There were no issues there, but it seemed to be kind of chasing the altitude a little bit, which I need to kind of understand that because I was experimenting with it, and I took it back and I was flying manually, and I was able to hold the altitude myself a hell of a lot better than the autopilot. So I'm thinking that it's just trying too hard. There's probably some settings in there to kind of decrease the sensitivity and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, that was literally the first time I've ever flown with one. I watched a few videos on how to use it, but yeah. So I have the TruTrak in here now. Most of the TruTrak is sitting underneath my butt right here. It's just a couple of servos. I'm pretty anal. I did kind of stick my head in there and look around. There were some metal shavings from when they drilled out holes and things. I kind of vacuumed them up as best I could, but it did kind of bring to light. There's a lot of like dirt and stuff back there, and so I'm going to make it a project to get a toothbrush. I know I'm ridiculous, but get a toothbrush and some mineral spirits or something, and really try to clean it up back there. Try to get all that dirt and funk out of there. Then when I'm done, I'll just spray a light mist of Corrosion X all over everything. So I'll work on that little by little. There's some pretty tight quarters in there. But here's the Avidyne 440. This is plug and play compatible with the 430. So if I wanted to pull this if I wanted to pull this Avidyne out and slip a Garmin 430 in there, it would work just fine. So it seems to work well. I'm happy with it. I have no idea how to use it, so it's going to take me some time. I have this little guy here on the right, which I know how to use. In fact, even that I only know how to use about half of it. I toyed with the idea of losing that, but I'm actually glad I kept it because it kind of looks nice. I just don't see any need to get rid of it. So, and I know how to use it. I know certainly a lot better than this thing. But there's a lot to learn. Eventually, I want to become expert at this Avidyne. I have a lot of work to do. Fortunately, it's fun work, but I have a lot of work to do to get good at this thing. And so there's an airplane flying over up here. But I'm excited about it. The TruTrak's pretty simple. I mean, like I said, there's some settings and some other things, but this Avidyne needs there's a lot of knowledge that I have yet to get on how to work this thing. So a couple of the bad items, very minor, I would say, at least I think. So the audio on the Avidyne is not as clear as the Narco was, if you can believe it. I have a Narco MK12 that came out of there, and the audio is just different. And I can't tell if it's different or if it's actually worse. So I'm not going to tell the installer. I'm going to get some hours under my belt with this thing and talk to approach and do some approaches and make sure that nobody's telling me they can't hear me or anything like that. I do know that the actual box is probably fine. If anything, it has to do with this audio panel situation. They ran into a problem, which it seems a little infantile to me, to be honest with you, but whatever. But they told me that they can't get this audio panel out. And the goal originally was to push the audio panel up. And you could see a little bit of a gap there. And I have this little thing here It's like this is kind of how they do these panels. Like you can see right here, there's a little piece of plastic to cover a gap, and then right here you can see they did it again. So basically they use these little plastic strips and they cut them to size and they shove them into all the various spots to try to make the panel sort of seamless. And this was smashed up here, but the way they had it is this was tucked back there and it was sort of overlapping right here, and that's not okay with me. So I actually pulled this out myself. I'm not in the mood to do this right now. I'm gonna probably come out here tomorrow and do it. But all I need to do is remove this plastic and remove this plastic, and then probably shorten this thing a little, and then stick it right up here so it'll kind of look like that, and then it'll go underneath the plastic. So it'll also prevent this thing from going up and down. You can sort of see this audio panel goes up and down. It is locked in there, it's fine, but this little strip, once I shove it up there, it'll sort of lock that thing into place, and it'll be okay. So so that's the deal on that. The Avidyne itself is pretty tight in there. This thing has a little play to it, but it's pretty mild. So by and large, I'm happy with it. I just got to stick that strip up there, but that's child's play. I can do that tomorrow, no problem. I'm just not in the mood to do it right now. And then they also put in this audio jack for me. So this is a jack that, if I can get my finger, this is a jack that I can use to play music through my system. So I have a little Bluetooth dongle. In fact, let me go get it. Let me show you how this is gonna work. Oh, I'm getting too old, man. Getting too old. Let me get out of here. Ugh. Okay. Let me come over to my shelf of goodness. By the way, this is the Narco that just came out. This is one that needs some work. So, and there's my old indicator. So these actually work great, and I'm gonna put them on sale. See if I can get $1,000 or so out of them. We'll see. Might be wishful thinking, but where'd that? Here it is. So here's my little Bluetooth thing, and there is let me study something here. I also have this, but so this is a Bluetooth receiver, and what I'd like to do is set up music in here, either from the iPad or maybe from a little iPod, or maybe frankly from my phone, and listen to music. And I can also, if I have it hooked up to the iPad, I can hear the audible warnings, you know, from ForeFlight. So this, my hope is that this will sit here, and it'll just sit like that. So it's pretty good. I mean, I'm happy with it. I could flip it up like that if I want to. I can pretty much, I guess that doesn't work, but yeah, I can flip it up like that. So whatever. But it is a battery powered thing, so it's going to be coming in and out of there a lot. Another option is to do something like this. I could pull this out, and then I can get this like that, and then I could just basically run this cord, I don't know, maybe put it, I'll figure something out, but then I could plug it into there. But that's probably not my style. I'm probably going to go with this. So this will pretty much just plug right into there, and that should work fine. So that's kind of my hope. I'm going to actually charge this thing overnight. I've literally never used it. Actually, look at that. If that just sits right there, I can get this and plug it in, and when I'm done, unplug it. That's pretty fly. That's not too bad. So, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out, but I haven't actually tested that. This Bluetooth thing, actually, it's telling me it wants to pair, but yeah, I'll put that on my tomorrow list. It's sitting here telling me it wants to pair. We'll figure that one out later. But I'm gonna charge it tonight, and then hopefully this thing works. I can't imagine it doesn't. Basically, it's just a line that goes down to my intercom, and hopefully it'll give me music. And it should cut out when I get audio, and when I get, you know, radio and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. So I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it's I I need to do that strip up here I talked about. But otherwise, it's pretty tight. I mean, most of what needs to be done in here is honestly learning. I mean, it's there's a lot of stuff to learn on that Avidyne there. Let me just turn this thing on so I can show you how cool it is. Oh, I also had an Avionics master switch installed. This Cherokee did not come with one, and it was like $500 to put that in. I don't honestly know if it's worth it, but I kind of like them. Every airplane I've flown had them. So if I flip this, now we get all the goodies coming on. And the autopilot, this switch here is sort of like an autopilot switch. So the autopilot turns on and off depending on whether that switch is on. So it's actually not tied into this Avionics bus, it seems like. So the Stratus came online. This is the old GPS that I still actually like the thing. That was a good decision to keep that over there. And then this thing, of course, is the elephant in the room. I don't really know how to use it. I do have the little simulator on my iPad, so I'm going to play with that now that I have this thing in here. And there's a little Bluetooth keyboard that came with this thing too, so I may mount it on this yoke, just stick it right there. But this yoke is booked. There's really no other place to put anything on this thing, so we'll figure it out. But there is a little Bluetooth keyboard. I don't want to get out of the airplane again, but so I'll just do ignore. And yeah, so here's the Avidyne 440. It's kind of neat. Here's the map. Of course, you could change frequencies. That's pretty easy. One of the cool things about it is it pulls up geo-referenced frequencies. So I mean, if I wanted to talk Tampa approach, I just tuned it in, and it puts it into standby, and I flip it up, and there we go. So there's some cool things. The FMS page, that's where you're going to put in a flight plan, put in a route, waypoint. I mean, obviously all I've done so far is direct to, take me home, you know. But eventually I truly have the desire to get expert level on this thing. I mean, if I'm going to drop the kind of money, which I've already done, pay the kind of money that this thing costs, I need to leverage everything it does. I need to be able to come over here, and if I'm in the soup or if I decide to go IFR, this thing needs to be like a well-worn glove to me, and it's going to take a little time to get there. But it's really neat to have some technology in this plane finally. I mean, this thing's a 1974. I mean, when this thing was built and conceived, things like that just didn't exist. And the TruTrak over here. Let me turn on this thing for you. So here's the switch. And you can see this thing powers on now. And the autopilot's off. It says there's no fix. Probably because I'm in the hangar. It probably doesn't know where it's at. And of course, I'm not flying. But it's kind of a neat thing. And I mean, if you just look at the whole panel, I mean, it looks kind of snazzy. Still got this dinosaur in here, but I'm actually gonna keep that. I like it. It's kind of like it's kind of like that fail-safe thing that will never break. If it ever actually breaks, then I'll figure something out. But I think until that breaks, I'm just gonna leave it in there because it's actually absolutely perfect for what it is. It is a secondary backup unit. So and it works. It works fantastic. And unlike a lot of these KX-170s, this one's nice. I mean, a lot of them look like they've been through a nuclear war. This one looks pretty tight. So I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah. So there's the autopilot. If I flip the switch off, it turns off. And like I said, it's not hooked to the Avionics Master. So if I want to turn this thing off, I just turn it off. Everything goes dark, and then turn that off, and you can hear the gyro spinning down. And that's that. So so that's the upgrade. I'm pretty happy with it. I could tell some folks have been in here, but by and large, I mean, you can't get an autopilot put in a GPS like this without having some folks in your plane. So it's obvious I've had some folks in here, but it takes me a little bit of time to kind of get everything back to my anal standards. But I am happy. I wouldn't say it's absolute perfection. You know, I wonder if there's supposed to be a thing here. This thing rotates, but I'm not worried about it. You know, there's supposed to be a little plug or something there that says OBS or something. That seems a little ghetto to me. but I'm not worried about it. I didn't even notice it till now. So, but I'm genuinely happy with it. Like I said, there's a few more things I need to do. There's no seats in the airplane. I flew it home with that one seat. I took it out so I could vacuum the snot out of this thing. But I'm going to put the seats back in, and then once the seats are in, I'm going to put that little strip back up there that I spoke of, this guy here. I'm going to charge my little Bluetooth thing overnight and make sure the audio works there. And then we're done. After that, obviously, like I said, I'll put the seats in, and then I'll put the logbook entry sticker in, and then we're good. And then all I have to do after that is learn how to use everything. So that's the exciting part. So yeah, so there you go. So this is I can tell you right now exactly how much this cost. This cost $5,200 plus $16,887.50. So what is that? That's like $21,887. So let's just round. It was $22,000 to put that right there, and to put that over there, and to put these servos under my butt. So that's the cost of aviation. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm not proud of it. But if you want to play, you gotta pay, and that's just how it is. So fortunately, that, it's kind of like when you get your engine rebuilt. Like, it's a lot of money, right? But you do it, and you don't have to do it again for a long time, and that's how this is. And I mean, I can easily see myself. Figure out how to plug this thing in. I could easily see myself 10 years down the road playing with that GPS and that autopilot. I mean, there's airplanes with Century 3s and 1s and Piper auto control 3s out there, and these things have been in these planes for 40 years. So this was a nice shot in the arm for the airplane. We're little by little, we're getting this thing great, and this was one hell of a step in that direction. So I'm not going to discount it for a second. I think it's pretty damn awesome. So I am going to wash the windows real quick. My wife is on the way out here to get me. We drove the truck up together, and I flew the airplane back, and she's on the way to pick me up as we speak. So I should be out of here shortly. Here's the little keyboard. It's a little Bluetooth keyboard, and this is a charging cable, but I could literally unplug this, and I can do my flight plan. I probably will never do that, but it's kind of neat. I don't know. I don't want to discount it. It's kind of neat. I just don't know where the heck to put the thing. Maybe I'll just put it in that little side pocket. I have a little side pocket there. I can pull this thing out, and I can do a little flight plan or whatever. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So I got a lot on me. I've got Avidyne instruction manuals here. So that's the fun part. The unfun part is what I just went through. By and large, I'm happy. There's really very little that's not acceptable to me with this, and I think if I get that strip up there and all that, and just get comfortable with the radio, make sure it's not flawed. If it's flawed, I'll bring it back and say, hey, we need to figure out this radio. But it just doesn't sound as clear as my Narco did, and the Narco is 30-year-old technology, so it could be something. It could just be different. Maybe it just sounds different. Maybe it's just a fun. It's like getting on somebody else's, bike or something. It just feels different. I don't know. It could be as simple as that. But anyway, the airplane was all bugged up. I'm pretty anal about it, so I debugged it, cleaned it all up, and for the most part, you can't tell it was even gone for 2 weeks. So it's raining outside, so we can use it. It's been like drought conditions around here lately. And there's a rainbow out there. Look at that. Very cool. Very cool. I do want to say something personal here, and that is that I have a dog named Jackson, and he's going to be 17 years old on May 23rd, and he's having a rough time right now. I won't go into the details, but you know, he's been coughing real bad, and I've been trying to solve that problem. And I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to solve that problem. Sometimes you just can't fix old, and there's just no way to fix old. So it's kind of, I honestly believe, I'm not sure when the end is. I don't think he's on death's door right now, but I honestly believe I need to start wrapping my heart, my emotions around the reality that he's probably not going to be with me a hell of a lot longer. And when I saw that rainbow, it kind of just reminded me of that. So something I'm dealing with in my personal life right now. That's a bit of a struggle. In fact, I see two rainbows. I don't know if you can see the second one. So, but I don't want to discount the fact that he's still here and he's still doing fine right now for the most part. I wouldn't say he's doing fine, but he's doing okay. But looking at that double rainbow, you can kind of see the second one right there. It kind of reminds me that maybe there's good things ahead. Maybe there's really good things ahead. So the only constant in life is change, and you know, I'm 38 years old. I'm still considered young by many, but even in my time, I've seen so many things change. So many things change, and you know, people get old, and pets get old, and I'm getting old. I'm still good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit there and say I'm old at 38, but I can tell a difference between 38 and 25. I genuinely can, and of course, I can see the difference as well with my parents, and obviously with my little boy. So, but anyway, some really nice rainbows there. But here's the old girl. No matter what changes in my life, I hope this airplane is a mainstay. I hope that I will age and things will change in my world, but I can always look at this airplane, as long as I own it, as sort of like something that doesn't do that, something that doesn't age, something that just gets better, you know. And we took a step in that direction the last 2 weeks with the work I just showed you, and we're going to continue. I will admit my wallet's a little sore, so I don't expect to spend a lot of money on this thing. I do have an annual coming up. It's going to kick off like the third week of July. Right now it's April 17th. So we're looking at about 3 months and change before I go in for an annual. Unlike the last annual, this one I think is going to be pretty easy. The airplane is, as far as I know, it's in perfect mechanical shape. There's a couple items on the watch list. We'll obviously look at those and make sure nothing's changed. But if we ever get to a point where something needs to get done, I will say do it. That's kind of my MO with this thing. I don't worry about money when it comes to really the airplane at all, but certainly with maintenance items, because my life is worth more than trying to cheap out on something. And I put my wife and me and my dog in this airplane with the intention of going out and having fun and adding happiness to my life. And I have no intention of augering this thing into the ground because of some cheap decision I made. It's just, I really hope that never happens, and I will do my part. And I made a pact with this airplane when I bought it. I said, you take care of me, I will take care of you. It is a two-way street. And so far, she's holding up her end of the bargain, and I'm holding up my end of the bargain, and that's what we got going on. All right. If you're still with me, thanks for 23 minutes of listening to me yap. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up and head out of here shortly. And I will be back tomorrow to tinker a little bit more. And once I finish everything on my do list tomorrow, we're done. Check the box. And it's just a matter of learning everything and having a good time with it. So, all right, let's get these rainbows one more time. Very, very pretty. All right, catch you later.